What's up, guys? There's something that keeps popping up on social media I wanted to talk about, and it's Sui is the next Solana. A lot of people think that, you know, Sui's going to make a Solana type run eventually, to 100 billion TVL. And I actually think it's Sonic. And when I was at that Coinbase F1 event this past weekend, there's a really well known crypto trader whale who also thought that Sonic had a better chance at flipping, um, not flipping, but making a Solana type run over Sui. And there's multiple reasons for that. You got to really look at it like at an FTV standpoint. So it's like Sui's already at a $34 billion FTV. And Sonic's at a $1.5 billion FTV. And I'm going to go through a bunch of stats from DeFi Llama, and we're going to compare and contrast TVL. So, and, fees generated, developers and everything. And I think it's really going to paint a picture of Sonic as this undervalued chain. And then you just have to kind of ask yourself, do you want to gamble on the chain that already has like a $34 billion FTV? I mean, Solana is sitting at, what is it, 70 billion, 80 billion FTV. Sui's already at a $34 billion FTV. So if you haven't really gotten into Sui, do you really want to bet on it flipping Solana? It's basically just a 2x with this FTV. Or do you want to take a little bit of a gamble on Sonic with the $1.5 billion FTV, and you look at all the TVL, you look at all the on-chain activity, and then you compare that to what happened with Solana back in the day, because those are fundamentals in the crypto world. It seems to be lagging. Price seems to be lagging the fundamentals. It's a very similar trajectory. As TVL and activity goes up, price eventually catches up as well. So let's look at all these numbers real quick, and I'll kind of break it down for you. And you tell me by the end of this video if you think Sonic has a better chance of doing a Solana type run, or do you think Sui does, which if it does a Solana type run, it's another 2x or something like that. You could argue that it's already had its Solana type run. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, today we're going to compare Sonic, Sui, and Solana, because everybody keeps saying Sui is going to pull a Solana, but arguably it kind of already has, in a sense, if you look at the market caps and everything. So it's like, what's the next coin up? And I think it's probably Sonic that's going to pull a Solana type run. So let's look at everything and figure out when it could happen, or if this is an actual accurate assessment. So TVL is one of the number one things to look at when assessing a protocol. Sonic has 1 billion, Sui has 1.77 billion, Solana has 10 billion. So Sonic has done it in 66 days. Some people say that's artificial because of the airdrop that's happening right now, and a lot of it will disappear. That remains to be seen. I'm sure some of it will disappear, but not all of it. I think once people start using the chain, they got money on there, they're earning, yield. It's going to be, they're not just going to dump and move on from there. I don't know. They could if the airdrop sucks. So that definitely is some sort of risk to consider here. But 66 days is extremely impressive when Sui took 505 days. So, especially in this day and age when there's so much dilution and there's so many different projects, even with the airdrop, for Sonic to achieve the 1 billion TVL in 66 days is actually very impressive. And you can also say the flywheel that Andre has created and the Sonic Labs team has created is working, even though the price hasn't caught up to it yet. And again, the biggest takeaway I want you guys to leave with is when you're looking at Sui and Solana, similar things happen when price eventually catches up, and that's TVL explodes, activity explodes, and then price follows when the overall macro environment gets better. So what we're trying to what we're trying to get to here on the charts, and I want to show you real quick, are moves like this. This is kind of like this is what we're trying to get to. This is a clean 10x. Obviously, if you bought it way back in the day, you're up way more. But again, look at this. So if you want to say that SUI is the next Solana, I mean, it's already kind of has the Solana structure with the chart, right? It's got, so Solana had 1, 2, 3 peaks. I would argue 2 massive peaks right over here, 1, 2. And then SUI, 1, 2. Okay, so it hasn't had like a third, but it's, well, you had this one, and then you had this one. So kind of like, that's 3 peaks, kind of. So we're looking for that chart pattern again on other, we're trying to get in before that chart pattern happens is what I'm trying to say. So let's move on and look at the user data and kind of really break this down and figure out if this is realistic or not. So user activity, Sonic, 257 monthly active users, up 50%. I don't know what this TikTok integration is exactly, but daily active addresses reached 1 million. So SUI has 1.4 million. That's quite a bit. And Solana has 78 million. Obviously, Solana has the most, but we're looking for upside and growth here. So can Sonic hit SUI's monthly active? I think so. I mean, you've already seen the TVL. It's catching up and everything like that, and it's still relatively early. So there's a lot of upside potential here for it to pump. So fees generated, no exact fee data. Again, they return 90% of fees to developers. So think about the flywheel here. Again, the flywheel is working with the airdrop. They have another flywheel here, which is 90% of the fees to developers. And then they have a high TPS, 400,000. And I'll admittedly don't pay too much attention to that metric. I'm looking at other metrics. I'm sure it's good. So high TPS, low fees. The total fees are lower than Solana's due to smaller ecosystem, obviously. Fees lower than Solana because, okay, transaction volume, 58 million. Okay. I don't know. It's tough to make sense of this data. I guess Sonic is cheaper and faster. Is it cheaper and faster than SUI? I'll ask Grok in a second. But on-chain flows, Sonic 61 million transactions since December 2024. SUI 58 million daily transactions. Sonic, okay. They really have 58 million daily transactions with 1 billion daily volume. That seems very high. I don't think this is accurate. Total volume is 500 million daily, driven by DeFi and GameFi. I think Grok could be hallucinating here. I don't know. It seems this data seems a little bit weird. So Sonic has 40 dApps, SUI 52 protocols. What's the difference here? Grok, are you hallucinating again? Solana 197, so 4x bigger than SUI. They're targeting 100 plus, makes sense. Solana's, yeah, I mean, Sonic has, if anything, it's showing rapid growth, right? So developers, Sonic 200 to 300, SUI 760, Solana 3,200. So you can't really compete with Solana there, but we'll see if some of these projects port to Sonic because of the fee generation system. It's very, very possible. And it looks like Solana hit 2021 hackathon driven growth, which dwarfs Sonic. Sonic is having the Sonic Summit right now, so I don't know what's going to happen there. Could be good. So is Sonic really faster than Sui? 400,000 TPS, 65,000. So arguably the fastest of the three. If you're into speed, then it looks like rival Sui and surpasses Solana's. Pretty crazy. I didn't really realize that. So I guess positioning it for GameFi. I'm not like a big GameFi guy. I think it's kind of fool's gold because gamers just don't like crypto. So I don't know how you're going to get users, but hey, if you want to build stuff on there to get more users and give it a shot, by all means. I think the benefit of Sonic is very much because it's a DeFi focused chain. I don't really want other stuff on there. I think it does that really well. I think DeFi is the primary product market fit for crypto. I think they should continue going all in there. So, and then this is the biggest stuff right over here. So the market cap stuff really jumps out at me more than anything else. And I've shown this in other videos, but you look at Sui and the FDV is massive. It's 34 billion. So that's going to be dumped on retail's head. So what are we talking about here when we say, is Sui the next Solana? Okay, what we're really saying is, will Sui have a Solana type run? And it kind of already has had a Solana type one. So what is this going to 2x to Solana's? Solana's supply is already pretty much on the market. Look, there's a little bit left to dump. I mean, look at that. It's 12 billion left to dump on the market. You have Sui, it's 3x as much. That's a lot to dump on the market. So it's like, I mean, if Sui doubled, it would catch Solana's market cap. It's like, so I don't know. The question you got to ask yourself, if it's Sui or Sonic, did you miss the Sui move and it's looking like you did? So Sui would have to, if Sui 10x'd to 100 billion to beat Solana, the FDB would be 340 billion. And then you have Ethereum is just a complete dumpster fire right now, and it's still at 218 billion. So you're asking Sui to exceed Solana and Ethereum, which is definitely possible. It is crypto, but with so much dilution, it's going to be harder in this day and age. And again, what I'm looking at, what I keep going back to with Sonic is that it is basically the TVL. Yes, you can sit there and you can say that it, reaching a billion TVL in 66 days is mostly because of the airdrop. And let's just say that some of it will leave because of the airdrop. I want you to look at something real quick. TVL isn't like this linear thing. It's not going to just go up forever. Solana had multiple points. I mean, this was like the FTX crash. Look at its TVL, and again, let's overlay this on the price, right? Look what happens when TVL goes up, right? It happens every single time without fail. Okay. So these are patterns that happen in crypto all the time. So what's the start of this? January 23. Where is January 23? January 23, right there is when it pretty much bottomed, right? Okay. January 23, right there. January 23, okay. And then it went sideways for a bit. For how long? Months. When did it finally pump? Let's just say December 27th, 2023. That was the first big TVL pump where billions. Look at the price. December Look at this. It started pumping just before, the TVL went up too. So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys is like this is correlated. So it's like very important to pay attention to TVL. TVL is what fundamentals are in crypto. You pay attention to TVL, that's what's going to happen is the price is going to go up because there's more activity, there's more buying, people are settling in Solana, they're buying more Solana to put it into other protocols and stuff like that. So that's basically what we're trying to find is the next Solana. And it looks like, I don't know. I mean, this is starting to look pretty good. Now, will it go up forever? Probably not. No, they never do. So you go to Sonic and it just hasn't had, it had that parabolic pump recently to $1. When is it going to do it again? It's like, is it going to do it soon? When exactly is it going to pump again? I have no idea when it's going to happen. So we're going to sit back and kind of just wait. And that's all we can do is assess. I don't know if you guys are in or not, or if you guys are more SUI people, or you think Solana still has more fuel. I'm looking for undervalued, high upside chains. And I personally think Sonic could eventually put in some sort of Solana type run. So anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.